In today's video, I'm going to be sharing how to read crochet charts. When you first look at one, it can seem a little daunting, but it's really a lot easier than you think. You know, it's a lot like learning how to read. First, you learn the alphabet and the sounds each letter represents, then how to form simple words, until finally you're able to string them together to create sentences. And that's how we're going to approach it today. We're just going to take it one step at a time, and by the end of the video, you'll be reading charts like a pro. As always, there are timestamps along the progress lines so you can jump to your point of interest. So let's get started. So just like an alphabet, we first need to learn the symbols and what they mean. The beauty of these symbols is that they're universal, meaning that whether you're in the US, Europe, or Japan, it doesn't matter. The symbols represent the same stitch worldwide. Now there are many stitch symbols available, but there are a few that you'll see time and time again. And I've broken them down into three segments. We have the basic stitches, the increases and decreases, and specialty stitches. Usually a pattern that has a chart will provide a stitch key or legend, but if not, you can always check out the Craft Yarn Council's website where you'll find a list of commonly used symbols. So for your basic stitches, these are the ones that you'll see time and time again. The magic ring, slip stitch, chain, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and treble crochet. Sometimes you'll notice a couple of variations for the same stitch. For example, the single crochet, it might be a plus sign or an X, depending on the designer. Sometimes they also might be a little distorted, but that's just to help fit into the chart design. Notice how the half double crochet through to the treble crochet symbols build and relate to each other. The little cross hatch is there to represent the yarn overs that are created to make the stitch. Again, these might look slightly different in patterns depending on the designer or the shape of the pattern, but they still represent the basic stitch. Moving on to your typical increases and decreases, focus on where they line up or spread apart. If you see a line at the top, that means they've been joined together to form one stitch, or if the point is downward, they've been grouped together to form more stitches into one place. Your specialty stitches are commonly things like your popcorn puffs and bobble stitches. If you notice a little difference in how the top is formed, it's usually there to clue you in on how the stitch was made. You'll also often see these fishhook style symbols. These represent your front and back post crochet stitches. The little hook at the bottom is there to represent whether it's going in the front or the back of the stitch. Okay, so now let's look at the basic framework of a chart. You've got two main types, charts worked in rows and charts worked in rounds. And with both, the symbols are placed above each other to show where you will work your stitch. The big tip here is that you want to read a chart as if you were crocheting. For example, if you're working in a row, we know that after we've made our foundation chain, we start our first row by working our stitches into the chain from right to left. And we also know that our rows are being worked from the bottom to the top. So when it comes to your chart, it's the same thing. You create your chain, and then you work that first row, working from right to left. But here's where it does start deviating. You'll continue the next row of the chart right above the last stitch created in the previous row. We know in reality that we'll be turning our work and working from right to left again, but here you'll just stay where you are and keep following along, continuously moving in a zigzag fashion until you reach the top of the chart. And likewise for a piece crocheted in the round. We start in the center and we work our way around in a counterclockwise direction, right? Same goes for the chart. Find your center and follow it, working from right to left, going around and around. To help make these charts easier to read, there are often numbers to help you see each round or row. But even if you don't have the numbers to help you, it doesn't matter. Use those slip stitches and chains to help pinpoint the beginning and the end of a row or round. So a quick overview. Step 1, find the symbol key and see what symbols are included in the chart. Step 2, look for the chart notes to see if there's anything more the designer wants you to know before you begin. Things like what the colors represent or a specialty stitch. And then step 3, find your starting place. For rows, after the foundation chain, read the chart from right to left, then left to right as you follow the chart upwards. For rounds, find your center. Notice if you're starting with a magic ring or some chains closed up with a slip stitch, then follow the chart counterclockwise. Remember, using chains and slip stitches really help to clarify when a round or row starts and ends. Let's look at this quick chart of a classic stitch called the fantail. What you see here is a partial chart. This is showing me everything I need to know. It's showing me how to begin a row, work the middle, finish the end, and how to create the pattern repeat. This is a companion chart that comes with a written pattern, so all of those extra details are provided in the pattern. So like we discussed before, we have to find our starting place, and we know that we need to create our starting chain, which will take us over to the right side. I'll be working my stitches from right to left, and I see that my very first stitch is a single crochet worked into the second chain, followed by another single crochet. And now we see a group of stitches that are right above that one chain. That means we're going to be working all of those stitches into that one chain. So I need to skip 1, 2, 3 chains and work into the fourth chain. And it looks like I have 3 double crochets, a chain 1, and 3 double crochets. Moving on, I have some chains without anything in them, so I'm going to skip 3 chains. Next, I have a single crochet above one chain, then I have a chain above the other chain, and then a single crochet in the following chain. And then skip 3 chains. And again, we have that point showing us that we're going to group all of these stitches into the same chain. I've got 3 double crochets, a chain 1, 3 double crochets, all in the same stitch. And then coming to the end, skip 3 chains, single crochet, single crochet. Fortunately, this chart does have numbers to let us know when we're on our next row, and we see that we're at row 2, and we're just going to continue where we are. The written pattern does tell us that we need to turn our work, but we also know that if we have crochet experience, right? So we're staying where we are, and we're going to continue on. Right above us, we see a chain 2, and we're going to turn. And now we're just going to follow along. Now I see that I have a half double crochet, and it's right above that single crochet from below, telling me I need to work that half double into that stitch. Next, I see 3 chains, and I have a single crochet right above the chain below, telling me I'm going to work a single crochet into that chain space. Chain 3, and here we go again with a couple of stitches worked into the same chain. As you can see, there's a point resting right above the chain below. So reading this in order, I have a half double crochet, a chain, and a half double crochet into that same chain space. Following along, I see 3 more chains, a single crochet right above the chain space from below, 3 more chains, and here we go again with 2 stitches pointing to that one single crochet from below. So that tells me I'm doing 2 half double crochets into the final stitch. And then for row 3, I just look right above to see what my instruction is next and continue on. Here's an example of a chart worked in the round. So first we need to figure out how to start the center. Are we creating chains with a slip stitch, or are we creating a magic ring? I don't see any chains, I just see a circle, so I know that I'm starting with a magic ring. And right above it, I see a number for round 1, making it very simple to understand, and I see 3 chains. You see the slip stitch, but it's on the right side, so we don't need to worry about it yet. That's going to be how we finish the round. After the chain 3, I'm going to start working counterclockwise, and I see that I'm working with double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm creating 11 double crochets into the magic ring. When I reach the end, there's my slip stitch, and it's right next to that chain 3, so I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. For round 2, it's another chain 3, so I'm just going to fasten on into the top of the previous chain 3. Working counterclockwise. Next I see 3 double crochets, and they're pointing to the double crochet underneath, meaning I'm going to do all 3 of those into that double crochet stitch. Next I see I have 1 double crochet that I need to work into the next stitch, followed by 3 double crochets worked into that one stitch below. So I can see from this that I'm going to just keep alternating 3 double crochets into one stitch, followed by 1 double crochet in the following stitch, all the way around. And once I've reached the end, there's my solid slip stitch symbol right next to the top of that chain 3. And for round 3, I see I have a chain to start with a single crochet in the same area. Next, I see a chain. And now this is what I really wanted you to see. These are single crochets and chains, but they're slightly distorted just to fit the chart. So I see that in the middle of that double crochet from below, I'm going to work a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet, followed by a chain, which is helping me skip over that double so that I can work a single crochet into the top of that next double crochet stitch from below. And this is going to be my sequence. So I'm just going to follow the sequence all the way around with a slip stitch into that very first single that I started with. So even though that looks a little complicated, it's actually really easy. And then I'll just continue on with round 4 and 5. I would recommend that you find a chart that already has a written pattern included. This is actually my favorite way of using them because you can use it as a cross-reference. If the written pattern is not making sense to you, you can take a glance at the chart for clarification or vice versa. This actually helped me greatly when I was making the tutorial for how to read a pattern last week. The written instructions were not making any sense, and I couldn't understand why the round wasn't working. But I was able to look at the chart, and I quickly realized that there was a small error in the written pattern. Not the help I was expecting, but boy was that helpful. I would also recommend that you start with a pattern that you're familiar with. If you're comfortable making granny squares, try working with a chart. This will help you gain confidence quickly since you know the basic stitches and layout already, and you'll see how those stitches translate to a chart. Many charts can be quite small, so I'd recommend enlarging it so you can see the symbols more clearly. You can use a good old magnifying glass or take a photo with your phone and enlarge the screen image. If you want a hard copy, same thing. Take a photo or use a scanner to enlarge the image and then print it out. If you come across a chart in a different language, try using the camera option on Google Translate to help convert the words for you. The symbols will be the same, yes, but there might be some extra notes that you'll find useful. Charts are designed for right-handed crocheting, but you can still make it work if you're left-handed. You'll want to mirror the pattern, meaning flip the image so you're working from the opposite direction. I hope the video has helped make more sense of how to work a crochet chart. Just like reading a pattern, this is going to take repetition and practice. So even if it's still a little bit confusing right now, the more you do it, the more you'll learn and get more comfortable. If I missed something though, or if you have a question, be sure to let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.